Nobody is coming to save you. That sentence sounds terrifying, almost cruel, but stay with it for a moment. Because what if it isn't bad news? What if it's the best news you've ever received? For years, you may have been waiting for the right person, the right relationship, the right teacher, the right opportunity, the right version of yourself, the right moment when everything finally clicks into place. You keep thinking that somewhere ahead of you is a person, an event, or a discovery that will finally make everything okay. And so you wait. You improve yourself for someone else's approval. You search for the perfect system. You consume another book, another video, another piece of advice, another person who seems to have figured life out. You keep looking outward, while the thing you've been waiting to fix has been sitting inside you the entire time. Nobody is coming to save you, and once you understand what that actually means, it can become incredibly freeing. Because if nobody is coming to save you, then you don't have to wait anymore. Think about how strange it is that we live so much of our lives waiting for permission. As children, someone else decides what we're supposed to do. Parents, teachers, society. We learn what is acceptable, what is successful, what makes someone valuable, what kind of life we're supposed to build. And eventually, we internalize the system. We start looking outside ourselves for instructions. What should I do? What should I become? What will make me happy? Who can tell me what I'm doing wrong? And there is nothing wrong with asking for guidance. The problem begins when guidance becomes dependence. When you stop asking for information and start asking someone else to live your life for you. Imagine you're standing at a crossroads. There are 10 different roads in front of you. And instead of choosing one, you spend years looking for someone who can guarantee which road is correct. You find a philosopher. He recommends one. You find a successful entrepreneur. She recommends another. You find a spiritual teacher. He tells you to take a completely different path. You watch hundreds of videos. You read dozens of books. You ask everyone what they would do. And after all that, you're still standing at the crossroads. You have more information, but you're no closer to moving. At some point, the problem isn't that you don't have enough guidance. The problem is that you refuse to accept the responsibility of choosing. This happens in relationships too. You might think, if I find the right person, I'll finally feel secure. So you search, you date, you fall in love. And for a while, everything feels different. Someone finally sees you. Someone finally understands you. Someone finally makes you feel wanted. And you think, this is it. But slowly, you begin asking the relationship to do things no relationship can do. You ask it to remove your loneliness, to prove your worth, to eliminate your insecurity, to give you an identity, to guarantee that you will never be abandoned. And eventually, the person you love becomes responsible for your emotional stability. That's an impossible responsibility, because no human being can live inside your mind and manage it for you. They can love you. They can support you. They can stand beside you, but they cannot become the authority over your inner life. That part is yours. And this is where the phrase, "nobody is coming to save you," becomes important. It doesn't mean nobody will help you. People can help. Friends can help. Family can help. Teachers can help. Doctors can help. Therapists can help. Communities can help. Sometimes other people are absolutely essential to getting through difficult periods of life. The point isn't isolation. The point is authority. Help is different from surrendering responsibility. Someone can hand you a map, but they cannot walk every mile for you. Someone can teach you how to swim, but eventually, you have to enter the water. Someone can hold your hand while you're afraid, but they cannot experience your life instead of you. There is a part of the journey that nobody else can take. Think about how often we say things like, "I just need someone to motivate me. I need someone to tell me what to do. I need the right book. I need the right mentor. I need the right relationship. I need to find myself. And sometimes these things genuinely help. But there's a hidden danger. You can become addicted to preparation. Always searching. Never beginning. Always learning. Never applying. Always waiting for certainty. Never choosing. You can spend 10 years preparing to live without actually living. There's a psychological reason this feels so comfortable. Responsibility is frightening. If you believe someone else has the answer, you don't have to make the decision. If your teacher is responsible, you can blame the teacher. If your partner is responsible, you can blame the partner. If society is responsible, you can blame society. If your circumstances are responsible, you can wait for them to change. But the moment you accept responsibility, something uncomfortable happens. You lose your excuses. Not all of them. Life genuinely contains circumstances you didn't choose. You can be unlucky. You can be mistreated. You can face limitations you didn't create. You can't control everything. But you can begin asking, what is actually mine to do? That question changes everything. Imagine someone sitting in a locked room. They're furious. They keep shouting at the door. Someone should let me out. They wait. They complain. They imagine the person who will eventually arrive with the key. Then they notice something. The door wasn't locked. They had simply never tried the handle. That's what waiting can sometimes look like. You spend years expecting an external solution, while ignoring the small amount of agency you already have. You don't need to control everything. You only need to stop giving away what you can control. And this is where people often misunderstand personal responsibility. They hear, your life is your responsibility, and they think that means everything that happens to you is your fault. No, those are completely different ideas. You didn't choose every circumstance that shaped you. You didn't choose every person who hurt you. You didn't choose every opportunity you missed. You didn't choose every limitation you have. But responsibility isn't about blaming yourself for the past. It's about recognizing your relationship with the present. You may not have chosen the situation, but what happens next may contain something you can influence. And that tiny area of influence is where your freedom begins. Think about a storm. You cannot negotiate with the weather. You cannot command the clouds to disappear. You cannot yell at the rain and make it stop. But you can choose whether to remain standing in the middle of the storm or find shelter. You can choose what you carry. You can choose where you walk when the storm passes. You can learn to build a better roof. The storm isn't yours. Your response is. And sometimes, that's enough. This is why the search for a savior can become such a powerful distraction. Because it gives the mind a fantasy. One day I'll meet someone who understands me completely. One day I'll become successful. One day I'll discover the perfect philosophy. One day I'll have enough money. One day I'll finally become confident. One day I'll stop being afraid. One day I'll wake up and feel like a completely different person. And then I'll start living. But notice the trick. You're placing your life permanently in the future. You're turning one day into a place where you keep everything you actually want. And because one day never arrives, neither does the life you're waiting for. Sometimes the savior isn't even a person. Sometimes it's an event. If I get that job, if I move there, if I lose weight, if I become successful, if I get into that college, if I make enough money, if I finally fix myself, then I'll be okay. But you reach the goal, and something strange happens. The mind immediately creates another condition. Now you need something else, another achievement, another improvement, another milestone. The finish line moves, again and again. You begin to realize the problem wasn't the absence of the goal. It was the belief that your life could only begin after you reached it. There is a famous experiment you can do with yourself. Think about something you desperately wanted 5 years ago. Something you believed would change everything. Maybe you got it. Maybe you didn't. But if you got it, did it permanently solve everything? Probably not, because you're still here, still wanting, still worrying, still searching, still becoming. That's not necessarily a defect. It's part of being human, but it reveals something important. External achievements can change your circumstances. They cannot permanently settle the mind, because the mind will always generate another condition. Now I need this. Now I need that. Now I need them to approve of me. Now I need to make sure I don't lose what I have. The object changes. The mechanism remains. This is why some ancient traditions kept pointing inward. Different cultures, different languages, different philosophies, different practices. But again and again, the message appears. Look within. Know yourself. Examine your mind. Don't mistake appearances for reality. Don't hand your deepest authority to external things. The Stoics emphasized the distinction between what belongs to us and what doesn't. Buddhist traditions explored attachment and the mind's endless grasping. Vedantic traditions asked who the experiencer actually is. Socratic philosophy placed enormous importance on examining one's own life. These traditions aren't identical. They shouldn't be flattened into one single teaching, but they share an important question. What happens when you stop expecting the external world to complete the internal one? And perhaps that's the real meaning behind the idea that the kingdom is within you. Not that you should literally reject the outside world. Not that other people don't matter. Not that circumstances don't matter. It means that the deepest work of becoming who you are cannot be outsourced. Nobody can do your inner seeing for you. Nobody can notice your thoughts for you. Nobody can take responsibility for your reactions for you. Nobody can discover your values for you. Nobody can decide what kind of person you want to become. They can influence you. They can inspire you. They can teach you. But eventually, you have to look. And looking inward isn't always comfortable. Because once you stop distracting yourself, you start seeing things you've been avoiding. The insecurity, the resentment, the jealousy, the fear, the need for approval, the habits you've been defending, the stories you've been telling yourself. This is one reason people constantly seek external stimulation. Another video, another relationship, another game, another goal, another conversation, another notification, anything to prevent silence. Because silence can reveal what noise was hiding. But the thing you're avoiding is often the thing that needs your attention most. Imagine a room that has been messy for years. You keep buying new furniture, new decorations, new lights. You rearrange everything. From the outside, it looks different. But underneath, the same mess remains. Eventually, you have to stop decorating and clean. Inner work is cleaning. It's not always exciting. There may be no dramatic transformation.
No cinematic moment.
Sometimes it looks like noticing that you became defensive during a conversation. Sometimes it means admitting, I was wrong. Sometimes it means recognizing that you're chasing someone because you're afraid of being alone. Sometimes it means sitting with uncertainty instead of immediately trying to eliminate it. These moments are small, but they are where authority returns to you. So how do you actually stop waiting to be saved? Start with one question. What am I currently waiting for? Don't answer quickly. Really look. Are you waiting for someone to love you? Waiting for someone to apologize? Waiting for motivation? Waiting for confidence? Waiting for money? Waiting for the perfect opportunity? Waiting for your life to become easier? Waiting for permission? Write it down, because vague waiting is powerful. Once you give it a name, it becomes something you can examine. Then ask, if that thing never happens, what can I still do? This is not pessimism. It's freedom. If nobody ever gives you the validation you're waiting for, what can you still build? If the person never comes back, what life can you still create? If the perfect opportunity never appears, what imperfect opportunity can you use? If motivation never arrives, what can you do without motivation? These questions move your attention from fantasy to agency. Then make the smallest possible move. Not the perfect move, the smallest one. If you're waiting for your life to change, clean your room. Send the application. Study for 30 minutes. Go for the walk. Write the first paragraph. Call the person. Learn the skill. Have the difficult conversation. Ask for professional help if you need it. The point isn't that these tiny actions magically solve your life. The point is that action breaks the psychological spell of waiting. You stop being someone who is waiting for life and become someone who is participating in it. And there is something beautiful about this. The moment you stop waiting for a savior, you become much more capable of receiving help. Because you're no longer asking someone else to carry your life. You're asking them to walk beside you. That's a completely different relationship. You can learn from a teacher without worshiping them. You can love a partner without making them your identity. You can seek therapy without expecting another person to do your inner work. You can follow a philosophy without surrendering your ability to think. You can accept advice without giving away your judgment. You can accept help without giving away your authority. And maybe that's what growing up actually means. Not becoming someone who needs nobody. That's impossible. Human beings need each other. We are social creatures. We need love. We need friendship. We need community. We need teachers. We need support. Strength isn't refusing help. Strength is being able to receive help without surrendering yourself. There's a difference between saying, "Help me carry this," and saying, "Carry my entire life for me." The first is connection. The second is dependence. Nobody is coming to save you, but look carefully at what that sentence doesn't say. It doesn't say nobody cares. It doesn't say you're alone. It doesn't say you shouldn't ask for help. It doesn't say your suffering doesn't matter. It says something much more precise. Your life cannot be outsourced. There is a part of you that must eventually stand up, not because nobody loves you, but because your life belongs to you. Your choices belong to you. Your attention belongs to you. Your values belong to you. And your next step belongs to you. Maybe you've been waiting for someone to give you permission to begin. You don't need it. Maybe you've been waiting until you feel ready. You may never feel completely ready. Maybe you've been waiting until you're confident. Confidence often comes after action, not before it. Maybe you've been waiting for certainty. Life doesn't offer much of it. Maybe you've been waiting for someone to tell you who you are. But perhaps part of becoming yourself is discovering that answer through living. The Savior was always a distraction, not because help is wrong, but because you kept looking for someone to give you something you were supposed to develop yourself. Peace, clarity, self-respect, discernment, courage, meaning. These things can be supported by other people, but they cannot be permanently handed to you. Someone can tell you the truth, but you have to see it. Someone can show you the door, but you have to walk through it. Someone can love you, but you have to learn how to receive that love. Someone can give you a map, but you still have to travel. So stop waiting for the perfect person. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for your future self to magically appear. Stop waiting for life to become safe enough for you to finally begin. Begin now, not perfectly, not confidently, not fearlessly. Just begin, because the moment you stop asking, "Who is going to save me?" and start asking, "What can I do from where I am?" something changes. You become less helpless, not because the world suddenly became easier, but because you stopped giving away the small amount of power that was already yours. And maybe that's why the sentence that first sounded terrifying becomes strangely peaceful. Nobody is coming to save you. Good. You don't have to wait. Nobody is coming to give you permission. Good. You can begin. Nobody is coming to hand you a perfect life. Good. You can build one. Nobody is coming to tell you exactly who you are. Good. You get to discover that. And nobody is coming to rescue you from being alive, because you were never meant to stand outside your own life, waiting for rescue. You were meant to participate in it, to choose, to fail, to learn, to love, to lose, to begin again, to become. And perhaps the greatest freedom isn't discovering that someone is finally coming to save you, it's discovering that you never needed to wait for them in the first place.